So, I was sitting there and I was telling her, I was like, you know what? For a change, you're getting on top. And if you're not going to do that, I'm just going to go out and buy you a bunch of batteries and, okay, man, I got to go. Okay, later. Bye-bye. Hey, guys. All right, I've been checking up on videos, getting caught up on everything that everybody's putting out there on YouTube and the comic community here. I got my root beer float. And when you watch a lot of videos and, sort of a glut, and of course depending on who you're subscribed to and, who your regulars are and stuff like that, at the last 2-3 weeks I've been feeling like there's just been like this wave of bad feelings about, a lot of disappointment in some of the books that have been coming out in the last couple of weeks, comic book wise. Today I think it's like October 25th, 2012. And, apparently the month of October there's been a lot of people disappointed with a lot of things just by going by their videos. And I've been really disenchanted with a lot of the DC and Marvel stuff that's been coming out. I'm not going to get in here and bash it and all this stuff. And I've also been hearing people talking about getting older books or waiting for a lot of books to go into the dollar bins and quarter bins, which if you've been watching my videos for the last year and a half, almost coming up on 2 years, I'm Mr. Quarter. I bought tons of comics, for cheap, quarter at a time, and even got like about 600 books free from the Bronze Age and 80s there. So nothing real new to me and stuff. But I am not a professional comic book writer, and I'm not going to sit here and bash the work that's being put out there at Marvel and DC, because there's some good stuff out there. You just got to find it. It's also a matter of opinion. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of like give you an idea of how I would do a comic book that I would want to read. And my disclaimer is I don't have editors on my back. I don't have deadlines. I don't do this for a living. And I've had time to let this kind of percolate. I don't think it's going to be one of those little stories here that's going to blow anybody away, but I'm just out to kind of prove a point that, it's not real brain surgery to put out a decent comic book. But by no means is it easy also, And the other thing I kind of want to put out is that, like, I don't do this for a living, and I kind of feel like as a consumer, we really ought to be able to have a voice in why we're not happy with how comics are going nowadays and stuff. And I'm not talking about coming out being negative and just yelling you suck and stuff like that. I just kind of think that for the money that you have to spend on comic books if you do buy them new, it's a lot of money. It adds up, and you should be getting your money's worth. So I can go on and on and on. So basically what I did is I kind of picked a character out at random, and it's kind of a little bit of a cheat because when I did this, I had a talk with a friend about what I'm going to be doing here today. I was about with the same character. So basically what I want to do is that I think any comic book character can be handled well and be cool. And I think what's kind of missing in today's books is that not only has Marvel ignored a whole lot of their continuity, and that they say that this kind of keeps, excuse me, that's a good root beer float, that this kind of frees up the writers with all the barnacles that have gone on the boat and stuff like that. They just kind of crapped on stuff. Well, I'm not one of those people. I also don't believe that there's no Superman stories to tell because he's too powerful. That's ridiculous. This is storytelling, okay? You find ways around it. You're supposed to be creative. So basically what I got is I've got the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, deluxe edition, number 13 from 1986. And I'm going to do a character study real quick. Now, here's one of my cheats and stuff like that, is that, if we want to play by the rules, this particular character has been popping up, I hear, with Deadpool a whole lot, and he's been used, had his own little mini-series and stuff like that. Well, good, you know. But let's do something cool with him. We're going to use the Taskmaster. If I remember right, Taskmaster, I got it right in front of me. But I believe Taskmaster was created by George Perez and David Michelny. I think that's how you say his name. And it was his debut was in Avengers 195. Okay, so so I'm gonna do a little character study. What is this character about? And then that will let you know what kind of situation, where to go with the character. Okay, and that's what I think Marvel is missing a whole lot of. They're making these situations, and it's like they don't know the characters they're writing. Okay, I'm convinced that after AVX, they really never read the first Phoenix story. Anyway, this says Taskmaster. The man who would become the Taskmaster first demonstrated unusual abilities during childhood. After watching a cowboy show on television, he found himself able to duplicate the sophisticated rope tricks he had watched the cowboy perform. Psychiatrist called in at his mother's request, terms the boy's rare ability as photographic reflexes. He employed his talent several times during his youth for personal gain, most notably when he became a star quarterback of his high school football team after watching one pro football team. Upon graduation, he briefly considered a career as a crime fighter, but opted for becoming a criminal, which he perceived to be more lucrative. Okay. So right there is your basis of this character, man. No big tragedy in his life. Doesn't really talk about anything that would have turned him evil, and he's not even actually evil, man. He was for profit. Hey, I got superpowers. I'll be a superhero. You know what? You know, he kind of used it for personal gain. So basically what I'm hearing here is that this guy's more mercenary than anything. Now, I know a little bit about Taskmaster, and he's been hired to train operatives for secret organizations. I think Shield, not Shield. Anyway, somebody, it might have been Shield. Anyway, when Captain America quit in Captain America 332, maybe, and they brought in the person who would become Johnny Walker, I think. They brought him in to be the new Captain America, and he would become the U.S. agent later on, kind of psychotic. They brought in the Taskmaster to train him to move and fight like Captain America. So and they shaved some years off his term for it and stuff. So we got a guy here who, just from what I'm reading, it's not so much he's evil or a bad guy, it's who's going to pay him. He's all for profit. What can he get? And it's whoever's going to hire him. He doesn't really seem to have a burning desire to be big-time criminal. He doesn't really seem to have a desire to really rule anything, take over anything. Doesn't seem to have an agenda. Okay, so that actually leaves this character wide open, almost like a blank slate in a way to develop him. So here's the story I would come up with, and actually I would probably just write like this quick little plot synopsis and hand it off to a real talented writer and see which way this is going. Now, what I would do is that I would have some, I don't know, drug cartel country, third world country, I'm seeing, I don't know, I'm seeing like Cuba or, Ecuador or something like that, maybe somewhere kind of South American. They have a superhero that's popped up, and the tyrant dictator who's over this country also has his hands in the drugs and everything like that. And he has decided to put a bounty on this country's hero's head. And I would create a new hero for this. You don't see that a lot. You don't see a whole lot of new characters anymore. That's kind of what's going on with Marvel. They're rehashing old characters. They're mixing up the Avengers and the X-Men instead of creating some new characters and stuff. Or, that's their call. So Taskmaster gets down there, and he kind of offers to, he throws out his prices, and he's talking, he's sitting there telling the guy that maybe I could just, train some guys for you and stuff like that, and he's like, no, I want you to take care of this, So he starts scoping out the place, he wants to, study his opponent stuff, because basically he's been trained to take him down. And some of the conditions is that he has to do it publicly. Okay, he not only has to kill the hero, he needs to humiliate him so the people will stop rising up. So Taskmaster gets out there and he's doing his homework, and he's planning, where he's going to have the big fight. He's going to set some booby traps, hide some weapons, whatnot. And of course, this guy probably has some fighting skills of Captain America and archer skills of Hawkeye, whoever he's watched and everything. Okay, he thinks he's prepared. And while he's doing all this, he kind of meets a girl, and it was really strange because this girl was somewhere she shouldn't be. He actually is kind of suspicious of her, but he actually kind of starts falling for her. And she gets the idea. She knows that he's working for their big tyrant, their dictator and stuff, but he won't give it up, and he's being all kind of, I'm on the job here, but eventually he starts falling for her. It seems like she knows all the right things to say to him to kind of suck him in. And he's trying to remember he's got the job. He's got the job, and some of the things that she says is haunting. And she sort of tears up on him and says, "I can't do this." And she's like, you're not what I expected. You're not your typical villain, bad guy. Okay, not my dialogue, but I'm moving the plot along here. So all of a sudden, he's just kind of like, for half a second, he uses his brain for a minute, and he can kind of sense something's not right, but he just wants to get the job and get out of here. He hates the heat. He's starting to hate the heat. He's not comfortable. He's here for the money and stuff, but the heat, the humidity, the bugs, everything like that, and the fact that what's really going on is that he's starting to fall for this girl here, and it's his time to move on. So he sets up this big cliche that villains do to bring out the superhero. Maybe he kidnapped a bus full of kids, or maybe he threatened to blow up this building or something. And our hero shows up, and it's kind of a cliched hero just a little bit, but it's like bright shiny teeth, and the people, powered back to the people and stuff, and and all this stuff, and how dare you come down here and do all this? You're working for him, aren't you, our big tyrant? So they have their fight, but then the strange things that happened where he set up the fight, and he set up the booby traps and the extra weapons in case this guy was kind of tougher after studying his opponent and stuff. They're gone. They've been messed with. He gets his ass handed to him in front of everybody, and he's just like beat again at first. He's just beat again. So he kind of hides out. He escapes. All the people are cheering our hero and stuff, and he ducks down an alley and all this stuff. And he starts, he's kind of had enough. He's gotten beat again. He's like, damn it, I train people. I do this for money and stuff. Why is this bothering me and stuff? It's almost like he's thinking he's going to think about changing sides and actually becoming a hero and stop worrying about so much about money. But no. Deep down, what he's really doing is that he's accepting he's a villain and he's better than he's getting treated. And that's what we ended up getting revealed. The story kind of tricks the reader. It sounds like it's getting predictable, and we want to get ahead of the story so we can give that sharp turn to where, he's just becoming a better villain. So he does a little digging and stuff, and he finds, we'll say her name's Lolita or something, I don't know. He finds the girl that was falling for him. Flat out says that, he finds out that, she tells him, you've been used. That hero really works for the tyrant, and he wants all the people to follow the hero and make him this big national symbol, and then the hero is going to pledge his allegiance to the leader and bring all the people with him. It's a big coup. Something like that, a little something political. And of course, I would flesh it out quite a bit more. So then all of a sudden, he's had it, and he gets this big speech from our little Lolita, the girl there, and stuff like that, where he ups his game. Maybe this was the missing piece. Could he have found love or something? So basically, he decides that he's coming back, and he's not going to have his reputation smeared. He's tired of getting beat by these heroes when he knows he's better than them, and now he's got something to prove to himself. But he doesn't, but what he does is that he sets it up. He talks to the big dictator, who chooses him a new one, and he says, I'll be back. This is personal now. And when I come back, it'll be for free. I'll take him out. So now he's still got access. The dictator's already like kind of laughing inside of himself like, what an idiot. So the Taskmaster gets back, to like New York or wherever his headquarters at, and he decides he's really want to stock up. And he starts watching tapes of these heroes and stuff, little news footages and all this stuff. He's watching Taekwondo and all these martial arts, and finally he's had enough. And all of a sudden now, this chapter of the book, this second act, if you will, it wouldn't be a second act. Second act's where everything goes all to hell. But anyway, this part of the story now is where he's tracking down heroes. He's going to go mess with some big names. He's going to get the best of the best, and he's going to get off his ass and finally start using these powers the way they are. And what he starts doing is that his powers get a little bit expanded. We're not adding anything. It's always been there, but when he watches something that's on film or digital and stuff, it's kind of distorted, and he can mimic it and stuff like that. But when he's face to face, it's more of a pure image. It's all, I mean, if you think about it, it's all like you're seeing the actual image. It's 3D. It's beyond high def. This is real, and for some reason, it processes it in his body better. And he goes out, and that's where we find the big heroes of the big heroes. But what's strange is that, we'll say he goes after 5 heroes. We'll say Spider-Man, Captain America, some big guns for a change and stuff. We'll start out some street level characters. Maybe Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi, some guys that you could probably just find, living in Hell's Kitchen or wherever they're at and stuff. And he gets his way to Captain America. But what happens is where he's got this new goal in his life. It's not just some character development's going on where he just doesn't have this goal of money and stuff. He's got a little fire in him. He's got something to prove. He ends up beating Captain America and leaves him laying there. Nobody's hired him to kill him. Nobody's done anything. He's handed Captain America his butt. But it's the greatest story never told. Nobody's going to ever know because he's not really in it for the glory. But he's proved something to himself. And he leaves Cap laying there. And he gets his butt back down there to where he's going, and he hatches his big plan and stuff just to accumulate everybody and take out this hero and stuff. And we'll kind of leave it at that. But my point is, like that kind of story, little thing that I fleshed out or not, it all starts in character. How would this character react to certain you got to have a solid character, and then once you know that character, you put them in the middle of something, of a situation, and it's how that character reacts to the situation. Would it change him? Would he freak out? Would he thrive? Would he survive? Would he crawl under a rock? And that's a lot of what's missing. They've kind of abandoned what those characters were and just kind of gone their own way. I don't want to bash certain books and certain titles, but there's a lot that's going on that's just isn't honest to those characters. And those characters became popular not by accident. There was a lot of writing and thought, continuity, and craftsmanship in building some of these characters. And heroes, let's face it, are just as good as the villains you throw at them. So maybe it's time to develop some more villains and stuff. Put a little conflict in there. I think what I kind of did with what I was just telling you about my stories, I think what I would maybe want to do is I treat it like a Mel Brooks movie, which this will crack you up. But Mel Brooks gives you the plot in like the first 5 or 10 minutes of his movies, and then the movie moves on and you get the comedy. Clearly, what's the plot, what's the conflict, what are they trying to accomplish, where are they going. And that's what I think you should do with a comic book because it's such a medium, a visual medium and exposition in it and stuff. Get that out of the way and let it move on, and then let everything else happen and grow. Okay? That was just my idea, and I'm not saying that's a great idea, but that's what I'm trying to tell you when I said it's not brain surgery. You can go back and get inspired by what's come before instead of abandoning the history of the comics. Do they need a reboot? Maybe sometimes, that's not for me to call. I'm not the one working up there. Good things can come of it, bad things can come from it. But if you're going to do it, go all the way. Just don't leave, don't pick and choose and everything and get everybody confused about what happened and what didn't happen. Alright, that's my video for today, so thanks for listening. Root beer float's almost gone.